Alright, I was just trying to record a Smackdown October 22nd, 2021 review, and the dog started going nuts downstairs, so let's try this again. We get a crown jewel recap, my god, of Reigns versus Lesnar, which was good. Longer than I would have liked, but still good. We get a Roman Reigns promo that follows this recap. And he actually mentions something that happened on social media, like it's used in the actual promo. Was not expecting that. The "We Want Lesnar" chants were nice to hear. Brock and Reigns segment is good that follows this whole promo. Like, I feel like am actually having fun watching this. And then, right after this segment, they recap what just happened in the segment. Like, are you serious? Skip. Then we get an authority figure promo. Haven't seen that before. And then Brock comes out and we have authority figure and Brock Lesnar segment right after we just had a Roman Reigns and Brock segment. And would this authority figure and Brock segment not have served better at the end of the show? I mean, opened good and truly great, you know? They play Brock's music right after this segment ends, but not his Titantron video. I don't understand why. And they recap what just happened again. Seriously, they've done this twice now in this show so far. And they should have just showed us later on in the show, at least. Then we get another authority figure segment. That's just great. And then Drew McIntyre shows up, and Drew is great, as always. I love his intro. Like, his entrance music and, you know, his actions and the graphics and all that. I love his entrance. And Drew is always great, you know, but Sami Zayn, really? Because Drew comes out to issue an open challenge, and the person who answers it is Sami Zayn? Why? They're not even on the same sea level. And Sami cuts a promo right as he's coming into the ring. I really was hoping that Drew would get an actually good opponent. And then we get a Drew versus Sami match. And then, oh my god, people, you know, see? The people are invested in what Drew does. Short and fun, and Drew's finisher is actually a finisher to the match. 8 out of 10. It would have gotten higher, but Sami was a really poor choice. Then we get a King Woods segment and another Crown Jewel recap. The recap was thankfully short. Seriously need better looking crowns if you're gonna keep doing this King of the Ring gimmick. It's a fine segment, average, not too bad, not too good. Then we get a Becky Lynch promo, which thank God it's short. And now they're announcing a women's title exchange. And a women's title exchange is a really, really idiotic idea. Like, seriously. It devalues the women's championships for Raw and SmackDown, that they can be just exchanged. They don't have to be lost to somebody else before you swap brands. You can just exchange them like they're like trading cards. Then we get a new Chinese female wrestler who looks interesting. She's probably not new. She's probably from NXT, and they're just now calling her up. But I don't watch NXT. Then we get Mansoor. I'm never going to be able to pronounce this guy's name. I'm always going to want to call him Mansoor. Versus Mustafa Ali. And they don't sell damage in this. Even though Mansoor does this really awesome powerbomb to Mustafa Ali, Mustafa Ali doesn't sell it at all. It's like it did nothing to him. The match was short. And then they bring up the fact that this is just a rematch from the match they had at Crown Jewel. But here's the thing: if Mansoor won at Crown Jewel and on SmackDown, this episode of SmackDown, then why even have the match on SmackDown? Why even have this match? Find somebody else for Mansoor to face. 5 out of 10 average. And then we have a series of backstage promos which were cringy. Like, why? Just why have them? Hit Row promo. They look like generic rappers. Oh, they are generic rappers. Seriously, this sounds just so god-awful. Skip. And then we get a Biggie anti-vape ad. I guess that's cool. Then we get Hit Row versus Daniel Williams, and I don't know. I don't think they ever mentioned the guy's name, and I rewatched it like 3 times, the segment where they were talking about who was in the ring. And what the hell even was this? I guess it was a squash match? Okay. 4 out of 10 for me. Recap again of Reigns and Lesnar from earlier in the night. WWE is so freaking lazy. Then we get a backstage segment with Sonya Deville, I think her name is, the woman who's the other authority figure. She's kind of bad on the mic. Like, seriously, show some emotion. Emote! Do something! And Shinsuke comes out, which means we get that buddy of his, the guitar player, which is really, really cringy. It pisses me off that Elias is just, like, gone from WWE pretty much at this point. And they have this guy come out playing the guitar and all this for Shinsuke, and it's like, they basically just took Elias's gimmick of playing instruments and gave it to this one guy who's not nearly as good at pulling it off. Especially since all he does is shout nonsense and play the guitar. We get Happy Corbin versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Corbin promo is decent, but a little dull. And apparently that guitar player plays the guitar during specific moves of Shinsuke's now, which just makes me hate Shinsuke's moveset. I mean, just why? What is this gimmick? Explain it! At least Corbin's gimmick makes some sense. That one kick of Shinsuke's was just... it was bad. And the guitar comes back in to ruin the match even more! Explain the damn gimmick! Match was nothing special. Average at best, 5 out of 10. And we get a Charlotte Flair promo, which is okay. Then we get a Women's Crown Jewel match recap. Went on longer than I would have liked, but it was serviceable. And then we get to this, the title exchanges. Title exchanges are stupid. Fire whoever came up with this. Charlotte gets more of a reaction from the crowd than Becky does when they do the entrances. And once again, why not have them drop the titles to somebody from SmackDown or Raw? Like, God. So I hear this went off script, apparently, and I gotta kind of believe it due to female authority figure's face basically confirming it. In my opinion, Sasha Banks comes out and she still can't cut a promo. And she brings up that Charlotte is jealous, but jealous of what? She never clarifies. Jesus, make sense in your promos, Banks. And a fight breaks out. This was bad, like really bad. This whole segment, and the recaps they showed were mostly things we just saw. Women don't know any swears other than the bitch. That's all they say. This was easily a 4 or 5 out of 10. Matches weren't all that good, and no women's match. There was no women's match tonight. On this episode of SmackDown, I mean. Way to ignore the women's roster and devalue them even more than this stupid title exchange does. In fact, I don't think any women show up besides from maybe Naomi, I think that was. And Sasha Banks, Charlotte, and female authority figure. I'm just never going to call her by her actual name. It's going to be female authority figure because that's the role she's playing. You know what? 4 out of 10. Like, seriously, this was just... It was just... Why? Why do you exist? They don't really set up anything going forward other than the fact that Sasha Banks apparently hates Charlotte, but whatever. Sasha Banks hates everyone. Because she knows everybody on the roster is more talented than she ever will be. Thanks for watching this when you do. Subscribe if you want. And don't forget to give yourselves a big thumbs up. Goodbye, everybody.